Lights go up, the crowd's in a buzz. Hawk talk, stop from mighty thud. Voices sharp like a razor blade. Breaking news like a wild cascade. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. Host on fire, you can't deny. Hot take sharp with no alibi. Game analysis deep as night. Get ready for an epic ride. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. We call the plays before they happen. Feel the rush as the crowd is clapping. Stand tall with your team above. Hawk talk anthem, feel the love. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. Tune in now, it's time to soar. Hawk talk brings us what you're here for. Bold predictions, call it how we see. We're the voice that sets you free. We're the free. Set you free. We're the voice that sets you free.
Oh, good grief. Tell you what, guys. Been rough out there. That winter storm that came through really screwed stuff up. Monday night into Tuesday. Last night was a little bit better. which is why I'm able to go live today. I didn't get back till 9:45 yesterday. It was bad. It's a bad night. Hopefully all of you are safe from the winter storm that came through. Hopefully everybody made it. Not as many accidents on the road as I honestly thought would be, just based off of how everything normally is. But yeah, roads were a complete disaster and it wasn't a lot of fun. So we made it though. We made it, and that is all that matters. All right. So what are we going to do today? Since we missed yesterday, we got a couple things to catch up on, but I've got a couple of different things coaching wise I want to go over, because as we head into this final stretch of the season, we're in December, guys. It is December 3rd. 22 days till Christmas, for those of you that don't dread it. I don't dread it. I look forward to it. 22 days till Christmas. This is week 14. We have 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We have 5 more weeks of the NFL season. This is the final week with bye weeks, with teams that are on bye. We have 4 this week: the Giants, the Patriots, Panthers, and 49ers. But there's something about right now, and this week in particular, with the games that are being played. The head coaching carousel is going to get interesting. I want to throw this out. I was listening to a couple guys talk. They made some good points. Listening to one of the many podcasts that I listen to. And there was a point that was being made. If Mike Tomlin, which this last press conference was probably his most admitted of having a failing season as he's probably ever done. If the Pittsburgh Steelers move on from Mike Tomlin, it is not because Mike Tomlin is a bum. And I think we have a lot of the wrong ideas when it comes to some coaches. Andy Reid got fired from Philadelphia. It was a perfect timing thing. Obviously, he went on and he is one of the coaches, or I believe he is the only coach that has 100 wins with 2 separate franchises. And that is something to be proud of. So obviously, Andy Reid wasn't a bum. Philadelphia fired him. The way Mike Vrabel, some of you questioned why I loved Vrabel so much. Why I thought a guy that got fired was going to be an absolute culture and game changer for an organization. I was right, because he's not a bum. He is an amazing head coach. Andy Reid is one of the best play callers in my time. It doesn't mean, if you fire Mike Tomlin, it doesn't mean Pittsburgh thinks he's a bum or thinks he's not good enough. It means it's time for a change. We constantly look at coaches as if they get fired, something was wrong. No. I would contest there are There are 4, if not 5, very successful head coaches that how they close out the season could change whether or not they have a job on Black Monday or if they're looking for a job. The number 1 coach is Mike Tomlin. You had the Ravens at 1-5, and you let them back in, and now you're playing them twice to close out the year. And if you get swept by the Ravens and miss the playoffs, Mike Tomlin is probably gone. The second head coach is actually the coach he's playing this week. They started 1-5, had to climb back in. What if they both, the Ravens and the Steelers, stumble down the stretch and Cincinnati wins the division with a below 500 record because the Bengals sweep the Ravens in the season series? John Harbaugh could be out. John Harbaugh is an amazing head coach. Lots of success. He's been there for a while. The message may have dried up. It's hard to stay that motivated for that long. It's just hard. Another coach is easily Sirianni. You guys know my feelings on Sirianni. I believe he is the highest paid bad head coach in the NFL. Evidently, there are some grumblings and groanings going on around the league that believe Philadelphia could be in a lot of trouble. Now, I think this week they play the Chargers on Monday night. If they beat the Chargers, then most things are looking up. But I ask this question. Could you imagine a scenario? The Cowboys are now 6-5-1. Just think with me this scenario where the Eagles stumble so bad that the Cowboys potentially win the division at 9-7-1. And you lose it at 9-8 because your percentage is worse than theirs. Nick Sirianni would be gone. Howie would be livid, and as he should be. Another coach that had success earlier this year, that if they collapse, could be fired is Shane Steichen. No matter what the schedule is, you cannot go 8-2 before your bye week and then miss the playoffs from 8-2. You can't do it. I've been watching the progression of Carly on the sideline. And I've said this to multiple people. Her demeanor, her appearance has changed through the season. She looks good on the sideline now. She looks like an Arthur Blank does on the sideline. She looks like a Robert Kraft does on the sideline. The stress is dropped for her. Now, I believe the stress will absolutely go through the roof if they start looking like they could miss the playoffs. But she looks like she's understanding what's going on. And I want to give her credit because I was definitely harsh when she got control of the team. But it is going to take, let's say the Colts make the playoffs as the 7th seed. Get crushed in game number 1 and they're ousted. It will take a grown-up that's willing to ask the hard questions. It'll take a grown-up to be able to fire Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen. If they miss the playoffs, it takes a little bit less of a grown-up But you can easily talk yourself into, let's give it another year. I don't believe you can do that. The professional organizations, the top ones, don't wait an extra year. Another coach that I believe how the season ends here is going to really matter is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the reason for that is the Panthers are right on their tail. And they have got 4 division games to close out this year. And then a road game at the Dolphins. They are home against the Saints. Thursday night game against the Falcons at home. At the Panthers, at the Dolphins, and then close the season home against the Panthers. If you lose the division to the Panthers, should these games be defining between the Saints and Falcons? But you can't lose them. The game against the Cardinals was huge. I said it. They had a 3-game losing streak. I thought they could easily make it 4. Because I thought the offense for the Cardinals was going to be good enough. It was. The defense for the Bucs made enough plays. How the Bucs finished the season, and the Glazers are really patient, but it may be time for a change. That's the key. Todd Bowles, I believe, is actually a very decent head coach. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's great. I think he is a very good head coach. In Tampa Bay, he works. Excellent ownership, solid GM. His staff isn't the greatest, and I think that's one of the things that holds him back, is he doesn't have a top-notch staff. His staff is like a B-, C+. So because of that, I think there is a real ceiling. If he were able to get another job and really get a staff in there that can make a difference, signing some coaches that may get fired. I really want to know who is going to hire Zach Taylor if he gets fired from the Bengals. I want to know if Brian Callahan gets hired as an offensive coordinator. Was Tennessee just a fluke because he was the top dog? Or what? And I apologize, but I have not eaten and I am starving. And I've got sausage chili cornbread. I'm hungry. If Zach Taylor's open, we know Brian Dable's open. Mike McDaniel could be open. Brian Callahan's open. So what could be the focus for new coaches? Now, Nick Saban has a lot of friends and acquaintances. I still think one of the best jobs he could take is Atlanta, although Penix kind of throws a monkey wrench in that one. I don't know if he wants to go somewhere cold. I will float the idea of him going back to Miami. Remember, the ownership wasn't a problem with him. He got along with most everybody. I explained it to one of my buddies last night. Saban had an issue with the compliance department. Now, let's be honest. At work, a lot of us have an issue with the compliance department because it seems too rid of reality. It doesn't think in real terms. It just thinks in a box. Well, that's what he got beat by. Nick Saban got burned by the compliance department that said, nah, we're not so sure his shoulder's going to hold up. Obviously, it did. So he couldn't get Drew Brees, which would have been a perfect quarterback for Nick Saban and the Miami Dolphins. He didn't get burned by the owner. He didn't get burned by the GM. He got burned by the silly medical staff. He has no ill will towards the Dolphins, and I think he'd go back and coach them again. And I think it would really help them. If Buffalo falters, I've said this before, I think Sean McDermott has got to be careful. He's on thin ice. There are so many coaches that would take that job, coaching Josh Allen. Now, Brandon Beane hasn't done great with the roster. You guys know I've complained about this. The Bills and the Colts are in a lot of the same position, salary cap-wise. They've spent money, and you really wonder why they spent money where they did. They're trying to hodgepodge it all together, but I really started thinking about this. The players aren't horrible. They're overpaid, but they're not horrible, but McDermott's defense just actually sucks. McDermott has not improved his defense. Brian Flores has adapted. Robert Saleh has adapted. Dennis Allen with the Chicago Bears has adapted pretty gosh darn well. Dan Quinn does not have the players with the Commanders' defense. They struggle, but he has adapted. DeMeco Ryans outrageously adaptive. Always seems to be ahead of the curve right now. Sean McDermott isn't. And he's not putting the players in the best position. Well, the money issue is not going to be because of Josh Allen getting the money he deserves. In fact, he took a pay cut. He's not getting the money he deserves. He is the most important player on that team. He's not making all that money. Tua still makes more. So does Dak right now. It's about construction. Buffalo may not be a great spot to go be a head coach because you may be kind of handcuffed with the contracts that are sitting there. The Atlanta Falcons, I believe, are one of the best spots primarily because you lose the Kirk Cousins contract, you cut him, you only got $10 million on the books for next year, and you get all that money back. All that money is off your salary books. It's excellent. And you push forward. I think it's perfect. The Indianapolis Colts are running into an issue. If Shane Steichen gets fired, the Colts also have a money issue. The GM that comes in will have to take care of the money problems that Chris Ballard created. Sauce Gardner, 4 years, $120 million. Starts out only making $20, and then he moves up from there. Charvarius Ward, $20 million. Cam Bynum, a lot of money. Nick Cross, money. Kenny Moore, money. There's money all over the place, just at the wrong spots. And they can't pay a quarterback. They got a deal on Daniel Jones. They can't do anything else without cutting multiple other players. And now the Colts don't have a first-round pick. So if Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen get fired, the new GM does not have a first-round pick this year, nor does he have one next year. If you're a GM, how much do you want a job where you don't have 2 first-round picks in your first 2 years? Probably not many. You're going to take the job because the promotion is more money, it gives you an opportunity. But the reality is, no first-round picks, no leverage, nothing to be able to manipulate or bend to be able to help the team. This coaching carousel, I think, could get really wild. Very wild. Nick Saban should be on the top of the list for multiple teams. We have seen it time and time and time again. Andy Reid lets his coaches do what they do, and he lets his team do what they do. He handles the offense because it's what he loves. But he lets Spagnuolo handle that defense. That defense is Steve's. Sean McVay loves the offense, digs into it. He lets Shula handle the defense. Kyle Shanahan lets Robert Saleh handle the defense. I really believe Nick Saban, because of everybody he knows, can be a great general managing coach. He will let the offensive coordinator handle the offense. He will let the defensive coordinator handle the defense. He will oversee what is happening, and it helps. We've got these teams: Sean McVay, Sean Payton, Kevin O'Connell. They all kind of have a flaw. Sean McVay just lost his team a game against the Panthers because he wanted to throw it. And he had a running game where he could have just slammed it down their throats and never had to throw the football at all. Sean Payton keeps trying to force Bo Nix to throw a bunch of deep routes when they don't have the receivers that they had in New Orleans to be able to throw those deep routes. I'm sorry, Mims and Bryant are nothing compared to what New Orleans had. Sutton is good, but he's not the deep ball threat. And Nix is not a huge deep ball thrower. But it's his MO. What he wants to do. Kevin O'Connell, same thing. He wants to throw. You got to run the ball. I think there is a lot to be said. One of the best teams in the NFL, well, last year, the best team in the NFL was the Detroit Lions. They had an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator and a head coach that supported both as equally as everything, and they had the staff of a lifetime. Mike Vrabel is the head coach. McDaniels has the offense. Williams has the defense. Vrabel supports everywhere. Having that center stone to push up both sides matters. The NFL has gotten away so far over here with coaches that have a certain side of the ball and a certain offense and focusing so much on this. The coaches that can manage a football team, like Dan Campbell lost both offense and defensive coordinators. Yes, they're struggling, but yes, they're still fighting for the playoffs, and that's because of Dan Campbell. Mike Vrabel has turned around the mess in less than a year. Told the GM, listen, we need to spend money, get me these types of players. Find me these guys, these are who I need on my team. He went out, he got them, and guess what? It works. And they are very, very close to having the number one seed and all roads leading through New England to get to the Super Bowl. And say what you may. Say what you may. Drake May is exactly what I thought he was. He's the quarterback that just handles the game. Nick Saban's an all-around coach. He's the pillar. And it matters in the NFL. John Harbaugh is a pillar. It takes pressure off of your staff when you're the one that's just supporting them. Because if your idea doesn't work, you're constantly looking. It's ownership. You're looking for who did what for why what you wanted to do didn't work. That is human nature. Ryan Day took his hands off of the Ohio State offense and defense. And you know what they did? They started winning more and more consistently. When he gets involved, they struggle because he has an agenda. It's proven everywhere. Agendas, coaches have them, coaches run with them, and you do not want to coach with an agenda. We want to be this. We need to be this. This is what I want people to know about us. But that may not be your team. The Patriots have run the ball well. They have thrown the ball well. They play stingy defense. They've done everything. Mike Vrabel's a really good coach. Dan Campbell, the Lions have had some games where that defense is flat out dominated. Other games where it doesn't do much, and the offense Jahmyr Gibbs just goes off. Dan Campbell just supports all of it. Nick Saban can do that. I think right now you've got all these coaches and everybody's so worried about which side of the ball they are, what do they do, and here's something that nobody really says this back in the day. Peyton Manning doesn't win more Super Bowls with Bill Belichick. Peyton Manning wins the same number of Super Bowls with Tony Dungy as he does Bill Belichick. The difference is how the teams and everything was built. Bill Belichick had a defense that he was able to build. And defense was his focus. Dungy came in and already had the offense, understanding the offense was important. And Dungy was a supporter. Ron Meeks, defensive coordinator. Larry Coyer, defensive coordinator. Tom Moore, never leaving until he wants to leave. Rightfully so. Supporting coaches win. They always have what they want to do, but the best coaches let their staff do their jobs. Those are the best coaches. And I love Andy Reid. I love Sean McVay. Sean Payton I question a lot, but he's a really good coach. I fully believe that we will see a shift back to a supporting pillar coach. Because the agendas, people are starting to notice agendas, and when you play a coach with an agenda, you can stop them. When you play the coach that's just supporting everybody, everything's on the table, and you don't know what to stop first. This coaching cycle could be wild. We could have 2 Super Bowl winning head coaches fired. We could have multiple winning coaches fired. Just looking for a fresh voice. But who takes over, you really got to pay attention. Because a defensive coach getting hired is not the end of the world. Zach Taylor, Brian Daboll are both sitting there waiting to get hired. The offense could be handled. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's look at last night's hockey scores. Last night, the Ottawa Senators beat the Montreal Canadiens 5-2. The Detroit Red Wings beat the Boston Bruins 5-4. The New York Islanders took down the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1 in New York. The Rangers also took down the Dallas Stars in New York 3-2. The Toronto Maple Leafs somehow beat the Florida Panthers 4-1. The Nashville Predators won 5-1 over the Flames of Calgary. The Avalanche keep rolling. Literally. 3-1 over the Canucks. The Wild blanked the Edmonton Oilers 1-0. The Vegas Knights win in a shootout over the Chicago Blackhawks 4-3. Washington Capitals beat the Los Angeles Kings 3-1. In the NBA, the big game last night, Oklahoma City Thunder just keep rolling. They are now 21-1. 21-1. They beat the Warriors last night, 124-112. Spurs beat the Grizzlies, 126-119. Anthony Edwards made a beautiful shot at the end of regulation to force overtime, in which the T-Wolves ended up winning 149-142. The Boston Celtics beat the Knicks 123-117. The Raptors and the Blazers was a very exciting game, 121-118. The Raptors get the W there. And the 76ers beat the Washington Wizards 121-102. Looking at the standings in the entire NBA, the bottom 5 right now are the Pelicans at 3-19, Wizards at 3-17, and the Pacers at 4-17. Then you have the Brooklyn Nets at 4-16 and the Clippers at 5-16. The Clippers are bad. Chris Paul evidently was not happy with much. The Clippers are just bad. And now Chris Paul has a chance to sign with somebody. He can take Christmas season off and then come back right around the trade deadline to whoever is willing to bring him in. I like this. I like how that could potentially play out. I really do. I really, really do. All right. So let's get to some college football because we got signing day going on. We've got all these coaches moving around. My notebook's getting full. Okay. All these different coaching moves, coaching hires, trying to keep up with everything. It's not easy, guys. It's really not easy. There's a lot of changes, a lot of different coaches, a lot of movement. But let's talk about recruiting for a second. The number one thing I want to talk about is Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt. Okay? Can't believe this. 5-star quarterback, Jared Curtis. They flipped him. They flipped him from Georgia. Georgia lost a 5-star recruit to Vanderbilt. I love it. I love it. He's been around in Nashville. He's watched what Vanderbilt has. He just watched them beat Tennessee in Tennessee. And he says he wants to be part of helping build this program further. This is awesome. Jared Curtis, 5-star recruit, flips from Georgia to Vanderbilt. Flat out awesome. Awesome. Now, something that's even more interesting. LeVar Brown, the number 1 recruit for the 2026 draft, defensive tackle, said he's holding off on signing. This is an interesting move because Lane Kiffin just got hired. I've got a question for you. If he doesn't trust Lane Kiffin, which from every report says he met with Kiffin on Sunday after he got hired. If he doesn't trust Lane Kiffin, Texas A&M and Miami are both waiting in the wings. Or a completely different team. We've seen that happen. We have a sneaky team comes in. But I find it really odd. He's met with the coach and is waiting to see who he gets as a staff. First of all, that's really smart by Mr. Brown. That is really, really smart. I like that move. But it's not what you normally see. Not what you normally see. So, we'll see how that plays out. Now, coaching developments. Number one, Pat Fitzgerald, former head coach at Northwestern that had Northwestern playing for chances at the Big Ten championship. Had the whole issue at Northwestern. It's gone, hallelujah, that blown over. Time to move forward. He is now taking the head coaching job at Michigan State, which means Michigan, you're on notice. Because Pat Fitzgerald could recruit. Northwestern never should have been as competitive as they were, and now Michigan State will be competitive again. And Michigan has a lot of competition now in their own state. Also, Kalani Sitake, who was in line for the Penn State job, just got a new deal from BYU because of the interest that the Penn State Nittany Lions had in Sitake. So BYU is not losing their head coach. So if they beat Texas Tech and make the college football playoff, they will have their coach through the entire college football playoff. Now, the Lane Kiffin situation. I'm not buying. He moved to LSU. Prestigious potential job. A little bit easier to recruit for. It's an easy out. This is, to me, Lane Kiffin to LSU is kind of like Kevin Durant to the Warriors. You get a competent coach in there. Listen, I don't think Brian Kelly fit. And nor do I think Brian Kelly's actually that good of a coach. You say, well, he had success at Notre Dame. Kinda. Marcus Freeman's had more success at Notre Dame. Brian Kelly was good, don't get me wrong, but Marcus Freeman has raised Notre Dame to a whole different level. Brian Kelly may just be a good football coach. And good isn't good enough when you're LSU. Let's be honest. But it kind of feels like Lane Kiffin to LSU just feels like Kevin Durant to the Warriors. Another coach could do the exact same thing he's going to do. He needs them for his own legacy more than they need him. Kevin Durant needed a ring because he knew he was going to be judged on it, so he went where he could get a ring without having to actually be a vital part of anything. Warriors were already winning without him. Adding him, whatever. And what he did to the Ole Miss players, and this is the reality. This is the stuff that I am absolutely ticked off about. I am not worried about any of the other, I don't worry about the fluff. This is where I'm frustrated. Ole Miss, even with losing their head coach, the college football committee bumped them up in the rankings. Now over Texas A&M, they're now 6th. They are now 6th. And listen, those kids deserve better. Now their defensive coordinator is taking over the head coaching job, but we all know how hard it is to be a head coach and a defensive coordinator in college football. he's being thrown into this. He is now going to have to learn how to manage the defense and head coach of the team on the fly in a college football playoff. And he might only have one game to do it. I don't know. But as of right now, Ole Miss at number 6 would play the winner of the ACC championship game, either Virginia or Duke. At home, Lane Kiffin threw away a guaranteed playoff run for a potential playoff run with LSU sometime down the road. Because let's be real, the SEC is outrageously tough now because everybody can play. IU and Vanderbilt, two teams that were kind of just relative pushovers. They would beat some of the better teams, or they would beat the mid teams, but they would lose to the good teams. Are now winning, and you're not pushing them over at all. IU was never pushed over this year, and hopefully won't be this weekend, nor will be in the next 4 games they play. You gave up a real opportunity for something you're hoping for. And that is what I really have an issue with. Those kids have a real opportunity now. Why would I follow you to LSU? He's going to try to poach players. He's going to do poaching. If I'm Ole Miss, I am on top of every single one of these things so I can get injunctions against Kiffin. If you're somebody that doesn't like him, I don't like him either. But I would, because I'm not okay with cheating. Lane Kiffin has already been texting guys. And if I'm the university, I'm on top of it and I'm going, NCAA, he's contacting my players. They are still playing this season. This is not a bowl game. This is the college football playoff. He is contacting my players to recruit them into the transfer portal. I'd report him, get him suspended. Hold him accountable. Because that's what I'm afraid is going to be what's pushed under the rug. James Franklin, we knew. Penn State still doesn't have their coach now. James Franklin has gotten transfers from Penn State to Virginia Tech. That's clear. If Ole Miss has good players swap when they're in the semifinal, say they make the semifinal. Let's say Georgia beats Alabama. They end up being the number 2 seed. The loser of Indiana and Ohio State are the number 3 seed. Okay? Ole Miss right now in the 6th spot plays the 3 seed. Neutral field. So they'd play either IU or Ohio State. That's important to note because it's neutral field. The path for Ole Miss isn't something they can't do. They could easily get to the semifinals. I think they can win 2 games. I really do. So, with that being said, and I do kind of hope that things swap around. Like, here's something that the committee's going to really have to figure out. If BYU beats Texas Tech, and it's a close game, BYU's just outside of the top 10. If BYU beats Texas Tech, what do you then do at Texas Tech? If Georgia beats Alabama and BYU beats Texas Tech, Alabama, my guess, is going to be out. Notre Dame is in danger of being out. BYU would jump up. Texas Tech would slightly drop back. So Ole Miss could end up in the number 5 spot if Oregon moves up to number 4. The amount of options this weekend is amazing. and I feel for the Ole Miss players. This is what you play college football for. You play it for a chance to make the college football playoff. And now you made it, and your coach bailed on you. You gave him success. You gave him an opportunity. Yes, the players can own this. It's on them to go out and win the game. They won 11 games. They put themselves in that position to play for a college football championship, and Lane Kiffin bails on them. Ole Miss needs to watch everything. Stay on it like a freaking hawk, and do not let those players get poached before the season is over. I think that's vitally important. All right. Final football news, and we'll get out of here. The Steelers claimed Adam Thielen because he was put on waivers. He was not given his outright release. He was put on waivers, and the Steelers claimed Adam Thielen, and they cut Darius Slay. Darius Slay, my guess, will be picked up tomorrow. The Indianapolis Colts cut Mike Badgley, and they signed, get this, Blake Grupe. Passed on Justin Tucker. I would have rather taken Tucker. Grupe has no leg whatsoever. The Broncos signed Elijah Moore to the practice squad. Why? I have no clue. I have no clue whatever. And then the Giants general manager, Joe Schoen, defended his roster but admitted his mistakes. Well, yeah, the mistakes happen and you're going to be fired over it. So, here's something. Here's something interesting. The NBA, or the WNBA and the union agreed to the 40-day extension back on November 30th. Okay? They have now through January 9th. And we are a month out, and currently, not really sure where the negotiations are going. The best part is the WNBA is now raising the salary base of $1 million. So nobody is making now in the WNBA less than $1 million. And I do believe that works for the WNBA. That works for the WNBA. I'm sorry. That amount of money works for the number of games you're playing and the revenue you're bringing in. So I do like that. I do like that. But we'll have to see where all of that goes. All right. Hopefully tonight the roads are even better. Last night, 2 of them were absolute garbage. Had to slow down a lot going over them. So hopefully tomorrow the roads tonight are better, and tomorrow I can rock and roll. And we can go live at 9, like I would like to. And we'll preview this weekend. We got some big matchups. We got some really big matchups this weekend. Very important when it comes to draft position. Some wild things could happen with it. And we're going to talk about all that and more tomorrow. All right, guys. I'm hungry. I need to finish my sausage chili cornbread. It's absolutely amazing. I need to go finish that. Then I need to go to bed. Because I am tired. 2 nights. That winter storm Monday night was just brutal. And then last night, the roads obviously weren't the best. And a little tired. Definitely a little tired, guys. All right. Appreciate you hanging out. As always, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast with a friend. As always, I deeply appreciate it. Make it the best Wednesday you can. You only got 2 more days left of this week. So finish today strong. Get to where you only got 2 left. And just a reminder, there are 22 days till Christmas. Just a reminder. Make it the best day you can, guys. Have a great day. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk. And I'm out. See you tomorrow.